where do we start with percentages? Well, I'm on about page 43 here from the textbook, all right, where the word percent means out of every 100, okay? Out of every 100. Think of it maybe as a pie. Sometimes that is easier to understand. Think of it as a pie. So we therefore say there is 100% in a whole amount. There's 100% in a whole pie, okay? A pie or an apple, something you can cut, or a pizza, okay? A percentage is the comparison of a proportion with the whole amount being 100, and of course the very basics are we use the percentage symbol. For example, 10% means 10 out of every 100. Okay, so it's always out of 100. Hence, very often you'll either be dividing by 100 in this, or you'll be multiplying by 100, depending on what the question is asking you. So percentage is the total whole being 100, all right, and what proportion of the question is that? So if we were to look at 25 out of 100, 25 out of 100, what does this sign look like on your calculator? What does that sign look on your calculator, Ash? It's a divide sign, isn't it? So if you were to do these buttons on your calculator, 2, 5, divide 1, 0, 0, it would hopefully give you a thing called 25%. And so if you're thinking of your whole pizza, that 25% of that is that part in there. Out of the whole 100, only that much is being discussed at this point. Okay? If there was 25 out of 100. So whenever we're given something that looks like this, something percent, it's over 100, or divide by 100. Okay? So this is very critical, this point here. As is this, a percentage is the comparison of a proportion with the whole amount. So whenever you're stumped in the initial stages of this learning, okay, go back to this page 43 and go back to that and go back to that. Two very important things. Now, like the book has done in the past, it does ease you into things, all right? And it gives you some examples, all right? The first thing that it's asking you to do is convert fractions and decimals to a percentage. So remember, it was a proportion of 100. So we're converting fractions and decimals to a proportion of 100%, okay? So the question says convert to a percentage, 5 over 8. Ashley's told us that this sign here means what, Beth? Divide. So we're doing 5 divided by 8 times by 100%. It gives us 62.5%. Now the quirk will be with your calculators is to press equals after this calculation. Okay? Because too often, some calculators, if you don't press equals after this, will say 5 divided by 8 times 100. What sometimes are you telling your calculator to do in those circumstances, Ryan?
5 over 8 times 100, so it's like times 5 over 8. 8 times 5, no, 8.
You're getting there. Can someone help me out? He's nearly there. Essentially what you're telling your calculator is 5 divided by 800.
Oh.
All right, if you don't press equals after this, some of your calculators will continue on with the calculation. It hasn't got that internal memory of BEDMAS, yeah? All right? So do 5 divided by the 8 and then press equals, then times it by 100, which will give you 62.5%. Now this stuff, folks, I don't know how new it is to you. Okay? I'm thinking that this isn't very new to blue. And green, you'd probably be relatively familiar with this too. And red group, you've probably seen it before, but whether it's really concreted in might be another thing. Convert 0.065 to a percentage. All you're doing is multiplying that by 100. So remember, it's a proportion of, remember my pi back up here? It's a proportion of the whole. So we just times that by 100%. The percent sign comes down. And like we did with the measurements, In our previous topic, we're just moving the decimal place 2 places because there's 2 zeros in 100. All right, so that should be familiar. And the last one is convert to a percentage 1.35. Again, we're timesing by 100. This means there's 135%. A bit like, I'll come to you in a sec, mate. A bit like our keeping track of teams at the moment. Some of our percentages were over 100%, weren't they? Yeah, see some nods? All right, why was that? Because the total points for some sides was greater than the total points against when we did that and times by 100. Remember that we did this on Friday? Excel spreadsheet's doing that for us. Sometimes, for example, Geelong, I think, kicked 93. Hawthorn kicked 87 times by 100. Yep, okay. It's going to be greater than 100% because this total is greater than this total. So that's just a refresher of your memory that you've actually started to do some learning with percentages in the last couple of days. So I am imagining this learning here is old learning for blue, green and red. Some of you have got varying memories of that stuff. Okay, Ryan, you had a comment?
Oh, it says even. It's like question 1 to 3 even.
Oh yeah,
What
so
that
in
is.
because I'm predicting that this is old learning for you, what I've suggested in there is that excuse me, green group are doing question 1 even. So even are just like if you would call these 1, 2, 3, 4, that you're doing this one, this one, this one,
Okay.
and so it goes. Just every second one because I figure it's going to bore you out of your head if you're doing every single one of them and you actually know what to do here. All right. So what I've tried to do is enough repetition for you to get it in the head again, but not so much that it bores you senseless. All right. You can see the way the questions are set up, can't you? The questions are set up with fractions first. They follow that up with a little bit more difficult or a bit of a change up. They change that to decimals, and the decimals you just had to multiply by 100. And then they change it up into a mixture of decimals, fractions, etc. Okay? And then in the next bit, converting percentages to fractions and decimals. So what essentially you've done is you've gone from fractions up here and decimals to percentage. What you're doing down here in this next question, you're just going the other way. Percentages to fractions and decimals. So it's just the other way around. Again, if you use the example, here you can see the example starting for you. If you use them, that's going to be your go back to sort of section every time. Okay? I'm thinking this is repetition or review. If not, come and grab your cups. You should have them soon anyway. Shuffle your cups and I'll come around and assist you. All right? Any questions with that? No? Okay. You hop into it, please. If I can just have your attention really quickly, something I didn't point out, sorry folks, is the key on your calculators that I know I've been asked a lot about this year, so clearly you don't know what which one it is. Most of you will have a key on your calculator which looks like this. Okay, most of you will have a key that looks like that. I'll come around and check your calculator because you've all got so many different types. That one is basically, when you've got something like 5/8, that's the button you press for your fraction. Often it'll come up like this, so you press 5, then you press the A, B, C, and then you press 8. What your screen will look like is 5, and then something like that sign comes up. It's not an R, it's just it's almost a right angle type thing. And and then you just times by 100, and that will do it for you, okay? But if you want help on that, I'll come around and see you about it. And one final thing with this button is it might give you an answer in a fractional form still. The answer still might come out with that written up there. You'll find above it, it says something like that, D to C. Or some of them say D/C. Some will say, and that's just saying decimal back to fraction. If you press it again, something that looks like this will come out to say 212 point whatever it is, okay? 1/2, it'll come out 212.5. So make sure you're able to actually flick between a fractional form and also a decimal form. Again, I'll come around and help you find that if you can't locate it on your calculator. Just makes your life a bit easier.